Chosen one, this message is not reaching you by chance. Its appearance is not random, nor is it meant for a wide audience. The fact that you are encountering it now reflects a process that began long before you became aware of it. This moment represents timing, not coincidence. There was a period in your life when your response changed, not because of rebellion, disbelief, or a lack of faith, but because circumstances became heavy. Disappointments accumulated. Delays tested your patience. Prayers seemed unanswered. Emotional and mental fatigue slowly took hold. Over time, these experiences conditioned you to become quieter, more guarded, and more self-reliant. You did not turn away from God or abandon spiritual awareness. Instead, you adapted. You learned how to function without constant reassurance. You learned how to move forward while carrying unanswered questions. That adaptation was not ignored. It was observed, respected, and allowed to run its course. Silence during such seasons is often misunderstood. Many interpret it as absence or rejection, but silence can serve another purpose entirely. It can create space for strengthening, recalibration, and internal development. During that quiet period, you were not being dismissed. You were being prepared that there are moments from the past that may still come to mind. Situations that seemed meaningful at the time. Internal nudges you chose not to act on because continuing to hope felt exhausting. Those moments were not failures. They were pauses. And this message exists because that pause is now ending. What follows is not a return to chaos or overwhelming signals. Communication resumes differently. Not loudly, not urgently, but with clarity. Calm direction replaces pressure. Guidance becomes recognizable rather than confusing. At this stage, understanding does not arrive through dramatic signs. It comes through steady awareness, repeated patterns, protective delays, redirections that now make sense in hindsight. These are indicators of alignment, not interruption. The reason responsiveness diminished before was not rejection. It was reinforcement. Strength was being built. Capacity was being expanded. Perspective was developing quietly. And now, the purpose of that season becomes clearer. What comes next does not require force. It does not require pursuit or justification. It recognizes readiness rather than demanding proof. Alignment attracts rather than strains. This shift marks an important transition in spiritual development. Many people misunderstand alignment as effort or intensity. In reality, alignment reduces friction. It replaces striving with coherence. One of the most consistent misunderstandings in spiritual growth is the belief that progress depends on constant action. In truth, discernment often emerges when control is relaxed. When the need to manage every outcome diminishes, clarity becomes easier to recognize. Consider how natural systems operate. A river does not force its path. It moves steadily, consistently shaping its surroundings over time. Its strength lies in persistence, not resistance. In the same way, when pressure is released, guidance can flow more clearly. For many, answers arrive through subtle means. Conversations that resonate unexpectedly. Circumstances that redirect plans. Repeated themes that surface across unrelated situations. These are not random events. They are indicators of a system at work, responding to readiness. Divine communication rarely relies on volume. It relies on timing. When awareness is heightened, less intensity is required. Understanding becomes intuitive rather than overwhelming. Periods of silence often carry discomfort. They can feel empty or isolating. However, silence frequently functions as preparation rather than absence. Just as materials are refined before being shaped, individuals are often strengthened before being directed. During quiet seasons, internal structures develop. Emotional resilience improves. Discernment sharpens. Self-awareness deepens. These changes may not be immediately visible, but they are essential. Growth rarely occurs in comfort. It occurs during reflection, uncertainty, and recalibration. Silence encourages self-examination. It reveals patterns. It builds capacity for responsibility. When guidance resumes after such a period, it does not overwhelm. It aligns. It integrates smoothly into daily life. Decisions become clearer. Direction feels natural. There is also an important reason why certain signals were previously overlooked. Readiness matters. Messages that require expansion cannot be fully received until capacity exists. This does not indicate unworthiness. It indicates preservation. Spiritual awareness functions much like a finely tuned system. When overloaded by fatigue or emotional strain, even clear input can be missed. Preservation prevents burnout. Delay protects sustainability. Think of learning processes. Lessons introduced too early can confuse rather than help. When understanding develops, those same lessons become simple and actionable. Timing determines effectiveness. This concept applies to spiritual development as well. Guidance is calibrated to readiness. What once felt unclear becomes precise when internal alignment improves. This leads to an important principle often overlooked. Delay is not denial. Delay is preparation. Divine delay serves a purpose. It allows maturity to develop. It strengthens discernment. It ensures that when direction becomes clear, it can be sustained. Consider natural growth cycles. Fruit develops over time. If harvested prematurely, it lacks substance. If allowed to mature, it nourishes fully. Timing enhances impact. Spiritual development follows a similar pattern. Challenges, pauses, and waiting periods contribute to depth. They refine judgment. They strengthen responsibility. When clarity arrives after delay, it does so with stability. It is not fleeting. It integrates into decision-making and behavior. It supports long-term alignment rather than temporary enthusiasm. Many signals arrive disguised as ordinary events. Repeated numbers. Familiar themes. Comments from different sources carrying the same message. These are not coincidences. They are patterns designed to draw attention without overwhelming awareness. Repetition functions as reinforcement. It allows messages to be recognized gradually. It respects free will while maintaining direction. Interruptions serve a similar function. Unexpected changes can redirect energy away from paths that would drain focus. These interruptions often feel inconvenient, but they protect alignment. As awareness improves, patterns become easier to recognize. Life begins to feel structured rather than chaotic. Events connect. Decisions gain context. Another significant shift occurs when effort transitions into ease. This does not mean passivity. It means efficiency. Actions align naturally with purpose. At this point, intuition becomes reliable. Discernment sharpens. Decisions require less justification because alignment provides confirmation. This stage reflects accumulated development. It is not accidental. It is the result of patience, reflection, and sustained internal work. Periods of confusion often indicate transition rather than failure. Identity shifts require adjustment. Old patterns dissolve. New structures form. This process can feel disorienting. However, it serves a clear function. Transformation requires release. Comfort zones must loosen for growth to occur. Internal restructuring often happens quietly. External visibility may decrease while internal clarity increases. This is not stagnation. It is preparation. Understanding this reduces anxiety. It reframes uncertainty as development rather than loss. As alignment strengthens, discernment replaces confusion. Decisions feel grounded. Reactions slow. Perspective widens. This discernment emerges gradually. It is shaped by experience, patience, and observation. When it arrives, it reduces unnecessary questioning. With discernment comes authority. Not dominance, but confidence rooted in clarity. Choices become intentional rather than reactive. Messages that were once ignored now resonate. They no longer demand effort. They align naturally with understanding. At this stage, attraction replaces pursuit. Opportunities align with readiness. Relationships form around shared values rather than convenience. This is not mysticism. It is coherence. Internal alignment produces external consistency. Once alignment stabilizes, life feels less fragmented. Energy concentrates. Direction strengthens. Guidance often arrives through people, conversations, or resources encountered at precisely the right moment. These messengers are not random. They reflect interconnected systems at work. Awareness allows these moments to be recognized rather than dismissed. As recognition improves, life begins to feel responsive. Patterns become visible. Decisions carry confidence. This message marks the transition. What follows is not urgency. It is integration. And this is where the next phase begins. The transition that begins here is subtle but significant. Once alignment is established, the nature of the journey changes. The focus is no longer on recognition or awakening, but on responsibility. Awareness brings obligation. Clarity requires stewardship. What has been developed internally must now be maintained consistently. At this stage, many people expect a sense of arrival. Instead, they encounter a new form of discipline. Alignment does not eliminate complexity. It reorganizes it. Challenges do not disappear, but they become more purposeful. Decisions carry greater weight because their impact extends beyond the individual. One of the most common misunderstandings about spiritual clarity is the assumption that it removes effort. In reality, it redirects effort. Energy is no longer spent searching for direction, but sustaining it. This shift demands consistency rather than intensity. Consistency is often undervalued. It lacks the emotional highs of breakthrough moments. Yet, it is consistency that preserves progress. Without it, even the clearest insight loses effectiveness over time. This is why structure becomes essential in this phase. Routines, priorities, and boundaries act as stabilizers. They protect clarity from erosion caused by distraction, overcommitment, or emotional fluctuation. Motivation can vary. Structure compensates for that variability. Another critical risk at this level is complacency. When confusion fades, there is a temptation to relax standards. This is where many trajectories lose momentum. Alignment must be reinforced through repetition, not assumed permanence. Reinforcement does not require rigidity. It requires attentiveness. Regular review of decisions, habits, and intentions ensures that direction remains intact. Small adjustments made early prevent major corrections later. Perspective also changes here. Progress may appear slower, but it is deeper. Outcomes are less immediate because systems are larger and more interconnected. Patience becomes a practical skill rather than a philosophical one. Short-term fluctuations should be interpreted cautiously. Not every delay signals misalignment. Some developments require maturation. Understanding when to act and when to wait becomes a refined judgment. This judgment improves through observation. Patterns matter more than isolated events. Tracking trends provides insight that single outcomes cannot. This reduces emotional volatility and supports informed decision-making. With increased responsibility comes the need for delegation. Alignment does not require doing everything personally. It requires ensuring that everything is done intentionally. Delegation expands capacity when expectations are clear and accountability is maintained. Trust plays a key role here. Trust enables collaboration. but it must be paired with verification. Oversight ensures quality without undermining autonomy. Balance prevents both micromanagement and neglect. Communication also evolves. Precision becomes more valuable than volume. Clear expectations reduce friction and prevent misalignment. Ambiguity creates unnecessary correction later. At this stage, emotional regulation becomes increasingly important. Stress often arises from responsibility rather than uncertainty. Managing it requires deliberate rest, reflection, and perspective. Rest is not disengagement. It is maintenance. Cognitive clarity and emotional resilience depend on recovery. Sustainable performance requires intentional pauses. Another important factor is humility. Alignment can create confidence, but confidence must remain grounded. Remaining open to learning prevents stagnation. New levels introduce new challenges that require new understanding. Feedback becomes particularly valuable. Constructive input highlights blind spots that self-assessment may miss. Receiving feedback without defensiveness strengthens long-term effectiveness. However, discernment remains essential. Not all feedback is relevant or informed. Evaluating sources protects clarity while still allowing growth. As influence expands, accountability increases. Actions affect others more directly. Consistency between values and behavior becomes increasingly important. This consistency builds trust. Trust enhances credibility. Credibility amplifies impact. The relationship between these elements becomes cyclical. Protection remains necessary even at this level. Risks evolve rather than disappear. Boundaries must be maintained. Systems should be reinforced. Security relies on preparation rather than constant vigilance. Expectations from others may increase as progress becomes visible. Not all expectations should be met. Alignment, not approval, remains the priority. This may require tolerating misunderstanding. Confidence here is stable, not performative. It does not rely on validation. It reflects internal coherence. This reduces anxiety and improves decision efficiency. As alignment stabilizes, effort becomes more strategic. Energy is allocated based on impact rather than urgency. High-impact activities receive focus. Low-impact distractions are minimized. Distraction often appears productive. Discernment is required to separate meaningful engagement from activity that merely consumes time. Regular reassessment of priorities helps maintain focus. Identity clarity supports this process. Purpose defined by responsibility and contribution simplifies decision-making. When identity is ambiguous, choices become reactive. Contribution remains a grounding force. Service shifts focus outward. It prevents self-absorption and reinforces purpose beyond personal outcomes. Teaching, mentoring, or sharing insight becomes more impactful at this stage. Experience gained through discipline carries practical value. Responsible sharing multiplies benefit. As systems stabilize, opportunities begin to integrate more smoothly. They do not overwhelm capacity. They align with preparation. This is a key indicator of sustainable growth. Release occurs gradually rather than suddenly. It unfolds through consistent opportunity rather than dramatic change. Each opportunity introduces new responsibility, appropriate to the level reached. Meeting these responsibilities requires the same principles that guided earlier phases: patience, discernment, consistency, and clarity. It is important to recognize that alignment is not static. It is cyclical. Each level introduces refinement. Growth continues through repetition at increasing scale. What changes over time is resilience. With each cycle, capacity strengthens. Endurance improves. Perspective broadens. This phase is not about searching for direction. Direction has already been established. The work now is preservation and execution. Sustained alignment produces stability. Stability supports expansion. Expansion increases impact. This process does not reward speed. It rewards coherence. Another challenge at this stage is internal drift. Drift develops quietly. It begins with small compromises or rationalized shortcuts. Preventing drift requires regular factual review of behavior and decisions. Systems protect against drift. Clear processes reduce reliance on willpower. They ensure that alignment persists even when motivation fluctuates. Recalibration is also necessary. Growth changes context. What worked at one level may require adjustment at another. Refinement maintains relevance. Adaptability within structure allows evolution without collapse. Alignment does not mean rigidity. It means responsiveness without loss of coherence. When challenges arise, they should be interpreted analytically rather than personally. Challenges provide data. They indicate where systems require adjustment. This mindset accelerates improvement and reduces defensiveness. Learning remains continuous. As attention increases, noise increases as well. Visibility attracts both opportunity and distraction. Discernment determines which inputs support purpose. Energy management becomes strategic. Not all tasks require equal engagement. Allocating effort appropriately preserves performance. Boundaries protect energy. They define what is acceptable, negotiable, and non-negotiable. Without boundaries, expansion leads to exhaustion. Accountability structures reduce isolation. Trusted advisors, peers, or review systems provide perspective and prevent blind spots. Isolation is a common risk at higher levels of responsibility. Maintaining points of reference mitigates this risk. Ultimately, this phase emphasizes mastery of maintenance. Creation initiates momentum. Maintenance preserves it. Many failures occur not from lack of insight, but from neglect of upkeep. Maintenance is repetitive and often unremarkable. Yet it is essential. It includes reviewing processes, reinforcing standards, and correcting deviations early. The result of sustained alignment is reliability. Reliability builds credibility. Credibility amplifies influence. Influence at this level is measured by consistency over time rather than intensity. This is the quiet strength of integrated alignment. The journey continues not because something is missing, but because something meaningful is being upheld. The foundation has been established. The direction is clear. What remains is deliberate continuation. The final phase of this process does not announce itself with dramatic change. It settles in gradually through continuity. What has been recognized, refined, and sustained now enters a phase of integration. Alignment is no longer something you return to repeatedly. It becomes the framework through which decisions, relationships, and responsibilities are filtered. At this level, the most important shift is internal. Alignment transitions from an active focus to an underlying operating principle. You no longer ask whether you are aligned in every situation. Instead, alignment informs how you evaluate options, manage energy, and respond to complexity. This reduces internal friction and preserves clarity under pressure. One defining feature of this stage is predictability in character rather than outcome. External circumstances may still fluctuate, but internal response stabilizes. Reactions become measured. Decisions are informed rather than impulsive. Emotional spikes decrease because perspective widens. This stability is not detachment. It is regulation. Regulation allows consistency. Consistency reinforces trust, both self-trust and external trust. When actions align reliably with values, decision-making becomes efficient. Less energy is spent resolving internal conflict. More energy is available for execution and contribution. At this point, reflection replaces rumination. Reflection is intentional and constructive. It evaluates outcomes, identifies adjustments, and informs improvement. Rumination, by contrast, cycles through uncertainty without resolution. Alignment naturally reduces rumination by grounding evaluation in facts rather than emotion. Another important transition involves time perception. Earlier phases often feel urgent, as though clarity must be reached quickly to avoid loss. In this phase, urgency fades. Time is viewed as a resource to be managed, not a threat to be outrun. This shift reduces pressure and improves strategic thinking. Long-term thinking becomes practical rather than abstract. Plans extend beyond immediate outcomes. Sustainability becomes a primary consideration. Decisions are evaluated based on their ability to endure rather than impress. This perspective protects against burnout and short-lived success. One of the clearest indicators that this phase has been reached is the ability to tolerate incompleteness. Not everything needs to be resolved immediately. Some answers unfold gradually. This tolerance reflects confidence in process rather than dependence on constant resolution. At the same time, avoidance is not mistaken for patience. Discernment distinguishes between deliberate waiting and passive delay. Action occurs when conditions align, not when discomfort demands relief. This distinction preserves momentum without forcing outcomes. Integration also affects relationships. Interactions become more selective, not out of exclusion, but out of alignment. Compatibility is evaluated based on shared values, communication quality, and mutual respect rather than proximity or history. This refinement reduces relational friction. Boundaries become implicit rather than defensive. They are communicated through consistency rather than explanation. Over time, others adjust expectations accordingly. This reduces conflict and reinforces mutual clarity. Another critical development at this stage is the normalization of responsibility. Responsibility no longer feels burdensome or exceptional. It becomes part of identity. Tasks are approached methodically. Challenges are addressed systematically. This normalization prevents overwhelm. Competence increases through repetition. Familiar challenges require less cognitive effort. This efficiency frees attention for higher-level thinking, creativity, and mentorship. Growth shifts from personal stabilization to broader contribution. Contribution, however, remains grounded. There is no need to prove impact. Impact accumulates through reliability rather than visibility. This prevents ego inflation and maintains focus on substance over recognition. Teaching and guidance may occur organically here, not through authority claims, but through demonstrated consistency. Others observe patterns before hearing explanations. Influence emerges quietly. This phase also requires ongoing recalibration. Alignment is maintained through review. Periodic evaluation of habits, commitments, and systems ensures relevance as context evolves. What supported alignment at one stage may require modification at another. Recalibration is not correction for failure. It is adaptation for growth. Viewing it this way reduces resistance to change and supports continuous improvement. One common misconception is that alignment eliminates uncertainty. In reality, it reframes it. Uncertainty becomes information rather than threat. It signals areas requiring observation rather than reaction. This mindset preserves stability in dynamic environments. When uncertainty arises, data collection replaces speculation. Questions become specific. Assumptions are tested. Decisions are delayed strategically when necessary. This approach minimizes error and supports resilience. Resilience at this level is quiet. It is not demonstrated through dramatic recovery, but through reduced disruption. Setbacks are absorbed without destabilization. Systems flex without collapsing. This resilience is supported by redundancy. Backup plans, Diversified resources and shared responsibility reduce vulnerability. Preparation replaces vigilance. Stability becomes proactive. Another hallmark of this phase is reduced comparison. External benchmarks lose relevance. Progress is measured against internal standards and long-term objectives. This protects focus and reduces distraction. Distraction, when it appears, is recognized quickly. Attention is redirected without self-judgment. This efficiency prevents prolonged drift and preserves momentum. Identity clarity also solidifies. Roles are understood within a larger framework of purpose. This reduces confusion during transitions. Change no longer threatens identity. It expands it. Expansion at this stage is incremental. Growth compounds through consistency rather than acceleration. Each step reinforces the next. This compounding effect is subtle but powerful. As systems mature, effort becomes less visible but more effective. Results are sustained rather than sporadic. This reliability strengthens confidence in process. Trust in process does not eliminate responsibility. It supports disciplined execution. Discipline here is not restrictive. It is enabling. It provides structure within which creativity and adaptability can operate safely. Adaptability remains essential. Alignment does not resist change. It integrates it. When conditions shift, alignment guides recalibration without losing coherence. This balance prevents rigidity. Challenges at this level often involve scale rather than direction. Managing increased scope requires delegation, prioritization, and system refinement. The principles remain the same. Their application expands. Delegation becomes strategic rather than reactive. Roles are assigned based on capability and alignment. Clear expectations prevent confusion and protect quality. Quality control relies on standards rather than supervision. Standards communicate values. They guide decision-making even in the absence of oversight. This scalability supports growth. Feedback loops remain active. Data informs adjustment. Reflection informs improvement. Learning remains continuous. The risk of stagnation exists if maintenance is neglected. Systems require upkeep. Relationships require attention. Values require reinforcement. Neglect leads to drift, not failure, but drift accumulates. Preventing drift involves regular review. Scheduled evaluation replaces crisis response. This foresight preserves stability. Ultimately, this final phase emphasizes stewardship. What has been developed is now sustained, protected, and expanded responsibly. Alignment becomes legacy rather than achievement. Legacy here is not about recognition. It is about continuity. Systems that function without constant intervention. Values that persist through transition. Impact that outlasts individual effort. This is the quiet outcome of alignment fully integrated. Not an endpoint, but a stable platform from which future cycles unfold with greater ease. The journey continues. Not because clarity is lacking, but because purpose is ongoing. And now, alignment is no longer something you seek. It is something you uphold. If this message resonated with you, it is likely because it reflects something you are already living rather than something you are merely discovering. Recognition, alignment, and clarity are not abstract concepts at this stage. They are lived experiences that require conscious reinforcement. The purpose of this call to action is not to urge urgency, but to invite intentional continuation. The first action is reflection, not reaction. Take time to consider where alignment is already present in your life. Identify the areas where clarity has replaced confusion, where decisions feel grounded rather than forced. Acknowledging these shifts strengthens them. Progress that goes unrecognized often fades. progress that is observed becomes integrated. Next, examine consistency. Alignment is preserved through repeated, deliberate choices. Ask yourself whether your daily habits support the direction you now recognize. Small actions matter more than dramatic commitments. Sustainable alignment is built through routines that reinforce values quietly and reliably. This is also the moment to review boundaries. Alignment requires protection. Consider where your energy is being drained unnecessarily, where obligations no longer serve purpose, or where distraction is disguised as responsibility. Adjusting boundaries is not withdrawal. It is stewardship. Clarity thrives in environments where limits are respected. Another important step is intentional prioritization. Not everything deserves equal attention. Evaluate where your effort creates the most meaningful impact and where it merely maintains activity without progress. Redirecting energy toward high-impact areas strengthens alignment and reduces fatigue. Responsibility increases with clarity, but responsibility does not require isolation. Seek collaboration that aligns with your values. Engage with individuals who respect consistency, communication, and purpose. Shared alignment multiplies capacity and reduces unnecessary friction. At the same time, practice discernment. Not every opportunity is aligned, even if it appears beneficial. Learn to differentiate between growth that strengthens purpose and activity that dilutes focus. Saying no with clarity preserves long-term effectiveness. Accountability is another critical action. Establish systems that allow you to evaluate your own decisions objectively. This might include regular self-review, trusted advisors, or structured feedback mechanisms. Accountability supports alignment by preventing blind spots from becoming habits. Reflection should be scheduled, not sporadic. Set aside intentional time to review progress, reassess goals, and recalibrate priorities. This practice prevents drift and reinforces clarity, without requiring crisis as a trigger for adjustment. Service and contribution also play an essential role at this stage. Alignment deepens when purpose extends beyond personal outcomes. Identify ways to share insight, support others, or contribute constructively within your sphere of influence. Contribution grounds clarity in action. However, contribution should be measured and sustainable. Overextension weakens impact. Choose roles and responsibilities that align with capacity and long-term intention. Consistency matters more than volume. Another action is patience. Growth at this level is incremental. Avoid the temptation to rush outcomes or compare trajectories. Progress compounds quietly. Trust the process you have built and allow results to unfold over time. Equally important is rest. Alignment requires maintenance. Cognitive clarity, emotional regulation, and disciplined execution all depend on recovery. Schedule rest with the same intention as work. Rest is not disengagement. It is reinforcement. This is also the stage to release outdated identities. Roles that once served growth may no longer be relevant. Letting go creates space for refinement. Release does not diminish past effort. It honors evolution. As visibility increases, remain grounded. Recognition is not the measure of alignment. Integrity is. Maintain consistency regardless of audience size. Alignment that depends on validation is fragile. Alignment rooted in principle is durable. If you found value in this message, consider engaging further. Subscribe, follow, or remain connected so you can continue receiving content that supports clarity, discipline, and purposeful growth. Consistent input reinforces consistent output. Sharing this message with others who may benefit is another form of contribution. Not as persuasion, but as support. Offer resources without expectation. Allow others to engage at their own pace. Finally, commit to continuation. Alignment is not a milestone reached once. It is a practice upheld daily. Choose to move forward with intention rather than momentum. Let clarity guide decisions, not pressure. This call to action is an invitation, not a demand. It asks for awareness, consistency, and responsibility. The foundation is already present. What matters now is what you choose to reinforce. Continue with clarity. Maintain alignment. And uphold the direction you have already earned.